Hi there, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Monday, October 6, 2025. Larry Johnson will be here in just a moment. Is Donald Trump being duped by his own advisors? But first this. My friends, if you care about your liberty and your right to control your own future, you need to hear about this. From October 10th to 12th, Mikkel Thorpe, host of the Expat Money Show, is bringing together top experts from around the world for the Expat Money Online Summit, and it's completely free to attend. You'll learn how to legally protect your wealth, secure second residences and citizenships, reduce your tax burden, and own property abroad, all to safeguard your freedom. This year's focus is on Latin America, where opportunity is booming. Argentina is shifting to free markets. El Salvador is undergoing a dramatic transformation. And Panama and Paraguay are offering simple residency programs. A Plan B is no longer optional. It's essential. Reserve your free ticket at expatmoneysummit.com. And if you want VIP access with special perks, including lifetime replay access and exclusive VIP panels, use promo code JUDGE for 20% off your upgrade. That's expatmoneysummit.com, promo code. Larry, welcome here, my dear friend. Before we get into Trump and his advisors, I'm going to read an email I got from our colleague, Phil Giraldi, who got it from a friend that he trusts. I spent the afternoon helping a young U.S. citizen after he was detained for walking on his own sidewalk on his way home when ICE troops with masks and in camouflage pulled him to their unmarked vehicles, demanding to see his legal documents and proof of citizenship. No warrant, no telling him their name, badge, or other identification of the government authority they represent. He tried to cooperate. They refused to accept his Illinois Real ID driver's license. They asked for a Social Security card, which he didn't have with him, or his passport, which was home.
Yeah, you know, it's one thing identify and deport people who are here illegally, but you still got to follow the rules. And, unfortunately, Donald Trump has set the precedent that you can use government force however you want without any regard for the law. As he continues to attack boats that are allegedly carrying drugs and killing the people on those boats and blowing them up. If a police officer tried that with a drug deal going down in Baltimore or New York City or Washington, D.C., they'd be criminally charged. That's right. So, this is examples like that. Those kinds of abuses are going to awaken a pushback in the American society where Trump did enjoy support for dealing with the hordes of illegals that had flooded across the borders. They're going to elicit a pushback against him on those policies.
Justice Kavanaugh wrote a concurring opinion in a case in which the Supreme Court allowed troops to ask for your papers, saying, what's the big deal? Show your papers. Well, it is a big deal. We don't show our papers in America. You don't have to prove anything. The burden is on the government to prove that it has an arrest warrant, that it has the right to arrest you. You don't have to prove that you're an American citizen. You have the right to be on the street. That's a police state when you have to affirmatively prove something in order to please the government.
Yeah, well, it's just, again, it's a natural evolution. This didn't start with Trump. So I don't want to just blame Donald Trump on this. It goes back 24 years with the installation of the Patriot Act, where we started encroaching upon civil liberties, we started dismissing the fundamental freedoms. The people, they grow accustomed to it, they become numb. Roger Waters' song, the Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb, that's exactly what we've become.
Secretary of Defense, who calls himself the Secretary of War, announced that they blew up another ship on Saturday. It's not a ship. It's a boat. So 4 speedboats. We don't even know the numbers of deaths in international waters, so it's inconceivable in America crime was being committed. None of them, none of the people on the boats have been identified, none have been charged, none have been indicted. No evidence has been sought, just enough to satisfy the Secretary of Defense and the President of the United States, and now these people are dead and the evidence is destroyed. Something's going to happen to bring this to a halt. I don't know what it's going to be.
I don't know what it's going to be.
It'd be one thing if there was a U.S. Navy or Coast Guard vessel trying to detain that boat, and the people on board that boat were firing weapons.
Oh, that's an entirely different
story. If that was taking place, then you've opened, you decided to play that game.
You decide to play the game.
But that's not what's going on here.
That's not what's going on here.
It's just, well, trust us. We have intelligence. Well, having worked in that field, I don't trust a damn thing. Not at all.
You are saying, not at all.
In fact, I don't doubt the ability to lie.
About these kinds of things, to claim that it's drugs when it's not. One of the things we saw right after 9/11.
Afghanistan. So they said, man, we're going to wrap up all the Al-Qaeda fighters. We're going to offer $100,000 for every Al-Qaeda person that the Afghans turn over. The ranks of Al-Qaeda swelled because, man, the Afghans with the nose for making money showed up. This guy, he's Al-Qaeda. They were grabbing taxi drives. I found out, one of my classmates, he was over there at the time, and he said they brought in so many people who were actually innocent. But because somebody had a grudge against them or had something that they wanted, maybe they were a competitor, they got them identified as terrorists. In this case, so I don't doubt that's what's going on here.
Well, you answered my question before I asked it, and that's if actionable intelligence is trustworthy. Here's the mentality of the person operating that intelligence, claiming he warned Pete Hegseth about Osama bin Laden when he wrote a book about Osama bin Laden, forgetting that when he wrote that book, Hegseth was a 19-year-old sophomore at Princeton. Here's what he said to the troops, to the Navy troops just over 2 weeks. Number 7.
And history will never forget that it was the SEALs who stormed the compound at Osama bin Laden and put a bullet in his head.
Remember that.
Please remember Osama bin Laden exactly 1 year ago, 1 year before. He blew up the World Trade Center, and I said, you gotta watch Osama bin Laden. And the fake news would never let me get away with that statement unless it was true. But I said 1 year before to Pete Hegseth. I said 1 year before.
I said 1 year before. Well,
in the book, I wrote whatever the hell the title, I can't tell you. But I can tell you there's a page in there devoted to the fact that I saw somebody named Osama bin Laden, and I didn't like it, and you gotta take care of him. They didn't do it. A year later, he blew up the World Trade Center. So we got to take a little credit because nobody else is going to give it to me. They don't give you credit,
just take it yourself.
Listen, I don't want to dump on
was called The America Week. The servant was published in January 2000. In January 2000, Pete Hegseth was a sophomore at Princeton. So the president is obviously confusing things, but what level of confusion operates in his mind when he gives the kill order, Larry?
Yeah, well, I will simply note that Milt Bearden and I wrote an op-ed in the New York Times that appeared, I believe it was November 7th, 2000.
It was November.
And in that we specifically identified them because at that point it was not clear who was going to be president, whether it was Al Gore or George W. Bush. But we identified that whoever was president, they needed to focus on if they were going to deal with the terrorism issues, that one of those was the rise of Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden. So,
Trump's just simply trying to take credit where there was really none to be earned. He could have, he was reacting probably to the previous claims of Al-Qaeda's role in East Africa, the embassy bombings in 1998. But again, the narcissism of this was, the insecurity on this guy is just terrible.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wonderful. Tell me I'm great. Okay, you're wonderful and great. Can we set some reasonable, realistic priorities?
Why, when we talk about the Gaza peace plan, why would Hamas even negotiate with these people? Trump lured Iranian negotiators into a trap. Netanyahu murdered Hamas and Hezbollah negotiators. Why would these people even negotiate, much less come to an agreement with them?
I think they're in a trust but verify.
Remember,
Trump
Trump
helped
tried to kill him,
I believe
a few weeks ago in Doha,
when the Israelis launched that attack where the Hamas negotiating team was supposed to be.
Was spiritually right.
This I still believe that this agreement's not going to go anywhere because Hamas, number one, Hamas is not the only group fighting the Zionists in Gaza. There are 14, at least 14 other Palestinian groups. Not all of them are Islamic either. There are some secular groups as well. So this is more broad-based about Palestinian opposition. They're not going to surrender their weapons. I think they know very well, based upon what's happened in the past, that neither the Zionists nor the United States are to be trusted with surrendering weapons. The other aspect is that they're not going to accept Tony Blair arrangement where you got Westerners, Jared Kushner, sort of calling the shots for the government in Gaza and the West Bank. That's not going to happen. It's going to be Palestinian with the backing of Arab and Muslim countries. Those will be complete non-starters for Bibi Netanyahu. It remains to be seen whether Trump is going to try to force Bibi to accept it. I doubt it. But there's always, again, we go back to his narcissistic behavior. His desire really to get credit for something big, he might be willing to do is getting enough promises from the Saudis and the Egyptians that this is the way he'll go down in history as the greatest president if he makes this deal. One that will at least allow Palestinians to remain intact. But as far as Hamas has got to surrender in 24 hours or else, we've had so many deadlines from Donald Trump that they're more abundant.
Why would Hamas surrender hostages and their arms, trusting that the IDF would leave Gaza? Who would trust them?
There's going to have to be movement of Israeli forces out of Gaza before that deal is consummated, number one, and that the Palestinian prisoners are being released. It'll be a simultaneous release. Again, there is a deal to be had here. The Egyptians are trying mightily to make it happen. But as you correctly know, the level of trust has been dramatically eroded as a consequence of both Israeli and U.S. action over the last 6 months.
Well, Axios is reporting when Hamas